Hi, and welcome to our second episode this year. Today, I've got with me again my co hosts, Vitor Domingos and Mark Silva, known on Twitter as Vidi and Igama. Just before we start today's episode, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about a small idea that we had for future episodes. We were thinking about doing something called what we're calling Red Team Startup. Essentially, in some episode in the future, we would like to invite some startups. They'll come on the show, they'll present their product or their startup, and we'll each of us have the right to ask them one question. And it's one question that essentially should help them think about their product, think about something in their company. It's not to criticize the product, it's not to bash the startups, but it's essentially to help them out. So if you've got a cool startup and you'd like to get some useful feedback, drop us an email or leave us a comment on Medium, on Reddit, or send me a comment to any of us on Twitter as well. So for today's episode, one of the topics we'll start with is about how the Google researcher found the vulnerabilities about Spectre and Meltdown. But just before we actually dive into this detailed topic, Vitor, how has your week been? Because it's now been a week since this was released. How has your week been? Did any of your clients or family friends get affected by this? Did you get any comments? How did it go?
Well, it was a mix of both, right? The patches are already released for both Windows and macOS platforms
And Linux.
on Linux. That's a kind of personal point of view. I think that my computer got a bit slower with the update.
Did you notice it?
I did a bit, but it's Windows, it's Microsoft. I don't know. It could be the patch. It could be any application that I recently installed. So I really don't know. I try to control the applications that I'm using. I noticed that I'm using a lot of Skype and Excel and PowerPoint. So computer gets a bit slower. But looking at the Intel press release yesterday or the day before, they told that there's a decrease in CPU speed between 6% and 8%. It depends on the different generations of the CPU. From a professional point of view, and because most of my clients use cloud computing platforms, most of them on Amazon they noticed a bit of slowdown on their systems. But either on Microsoft, on Azure, and on Google, they didn't notice anything at all. So, which is quite good.
Did you see them giving you calls from an economics perspective? Because I mean, look, me and Marco work together right now, and one of the things we've discussed this week is how much this is going to cost us, right? We've got machines that need those 30% of processing they're about to lose. Did any of your clients, did you see clients worried about that from that perspective? Not from the security perspective, but rather from the economic perspective?
A bit. To be honest, they were more concerned about the security point from the security point of view. A few of them just actually asked about if this will increase their bill at the end of the month. And to be honest, my straight answer is I still won't know, because I think this should be a mix of responsibility between Intel and the cloud provider and shouldn't affect the client itself. Either we're going to get over provision CPU cycles or CPU heads on our cloud computing, or I don't see the client pay for this kind of mistake a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, having the cloud provider also pay for it, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit of a two-sided sword, right? I mean, the cloud providers did their job. They patched. The flaw really should fall on Intel.
I think it's going a point of the reputation management from cloud providers. Because if you look at, for example, Amazon or Google, the biggest players out there, if you have been using them for, let's say, 1 year, and your instances always perform the same, that's what you expect. And after the patch, you have this heat on top of you, this 30% heat. It's kind of like, okay, this was the payload I had, and now it's slower. Okay, I do realize it was Intel and the processors and all of that. But the reputation management that Google and Amazon can provide is, okay, we'll take a bit of the heat our side. Okay, we instead of sharing this server between 3 clients, we will only share it now between 2, just to make sure that their performance keeps up the same. That cost from on their side, it won't be that much. Okay, there will be a cost, but considering their scale, it wouldn't be that much of a hit on them. So reputation-wise, it
well,
would be a good thing for them.
from Google perspective, I mean, their reputation is super high right now. They were the guys that found this. Their cloud should be better protected than everyone else's, at least. Even though it's separate teams, of course, but I know that Google internally, between those two teams, works quite well. So
yeah, and that's the latest PR they released. Wasn't really about it. How they dealt with the issue on their side, how they patched the servers around December, what changes they did, how the patch worked, what changes they did on their binary side, and also a bit of data, like how will that affect their clients. And they try to say that they try to mitigate all the possible downfalls for their clients. So hopefully people using Google won't feel that hit so much. But on an interesting side, on cloud providers, some clients that won't feel the heat is really the new trend of function as a service, lambdas.
It is.
Because you don't pay for the server, you don't care about the CPU or whatever, you just pay like, run this function, this is what I expect it to run, there you go. So for them, it's purely on the cloud provider side, not on the client anymore.
Well, probably in a couple of months' time, we're going to know that this is going to be an evil plan from serverless kind of.
I had an interesting discussion on this topic. And funnily enough, I had a lot of people, we've got this IRC channel with a few security professionals in there. And a lot of them disagreed with me in the sense of there was this piece of news that said that the combo Spectre meltdown was the biggest security flaw ever found. And these guys were disagreeing with this. And, I was actually saying that I agree. I think it is the most important security bug ever found, which I think is what the title headline said, in the sense of, and these guys, their basis was, no, because Heartbleed, for example, is much easier to exploit. Fact. Shell shock is much easier to exploit. Fact. But I think when you're saying and classifying it as the most serious security bug in history, you need to take more than that into account. I think you need to take number of machines affected by that. And I can't remember the last time we had a set of vulnerabilities like this that affected as many machines as this does, because it's ARM, it's AMD, it's Intel, between all the two vulnerabilities.
The year 2000.
And on top,
the year 2000 bug.
I was just thinking about that.
But that wasn't a security vulnerability, right? So you wouldn't count that in. And then on top of that, exploitability. Well, we've got proof of concepts of JavaScript that allow to exploit both vulnerabilities. So I agreed with the article. I think it is the most serious combo of vulnerabilities we've ever had. Even though, yes, Heartbleed actually wasn't that bad at large scale. It didn't get exploited at large scale because the warnings came out pretty soon. There wasn't like embargoes and shit like that. So everyone actually patched really quickly. Shell shock is super serious, but we never really seen any large scale exploitability of it. So I did agree with the article. I think it is the most serious vulnerabilities we've seen. And I couldn't remember the last time. And then they also commented on things like DCOM and the I love you or something like that, like really old stuff. But that was also Windows only.
Yeah.
This thing isn't.
The biggest one was a Windows Worm. I don't remember now the name.
DCOM.
Wasn't there another one?
I think. No, and you had WannaCry, of course. Another person actually said WannaCry, and their basis was that WannaCry was worse because it had a bigger financial impact. My reasoning for not agreeing is that we are just at the beginning of Meltdown Spectre. WannaCry came out around 3 months after the NSA vulnerabilities came out, which WannaCry essentially packaged some of those vulnerabilities and exploited it, right? It was 3 months after. I think we're just at the beginning of Meltdown and Spectre. Let's see what happens in 3 months. Let's see what happens in 4 months. I was looking at Twitter yesterday, and one guy found out that you could actually find SSH private keys with that using Meltdown, if I'm not incorrect. So I think we're just at the beginning. It's too early to say if WannaCry was, had a bigger impact from a financial perspective. Let's see.
Yeah.
Because here we're talking iPhones, we're talking Androids, we're talking cloud computing, we're talking pretty much
Yeah, for WannaCry
everything.
and all of those security vulnerabilities, the patch was a software patch. There you go. But the reality is for Meltdown and for Spectre, the change is really buy a new CPU. And in reality, we can't buy new CPUs. We have to wait maybe a year until we see CPUs that fix this. So that's the only way you can fix the problem. In reality,
exactly,
everyone in the world needs to buy new CPUs.
And for WannaCry, sure, it had a big financial impact on companies that were using Windows. Here, you're seeing everyone patching. You're seeing everyone losing those 30% of CPU. New machines are going to have to be spawned to compensate for those 30%. I think it will have a bigger impact from an economic perspective.
Yeah,
but let's see in 3 months. Let's see. So next topic we have on our list to discuss, and Vitor, you suggested this one, and then I put a second link, which they kind of contradict each other. So Vitor submitted a piece of news from the New York Times that says how an AI cat and mouse game generates believable fake photos. Vitor, do you want to give us an intro a bit on this one?
Yeah, sure. So it's a bunch of researchers that use GPUs and they use artificial intelligence on those GPUs to create fake photos. So they just have a baseline of photos, of this case of women, and they try to generate a new real photo of someone else that actually doesn't exist. They started with the women, then they moved to men, and actually they can create a persona, a person, a face that actually doesn't exist, and they're just using artificial intelligence and GPUs to build this, which is really amazing at this point.
Exactly, and it's a really interesting topic because it has two really interesting sides, in my opinion, that we should talk about. So let's go with side A. Forget Photoshop, this is even better. Absolutely. I mean, maybe we won't have to retouch our photos anymore. Maybe we'll just send our really crappy phone photo to some AI that will make it an amazing photo, really high quality. But then we've got the second side, which is like, some guys actually started generating porn movies with the faces of famous actors and actresses. And this is a really interesting side of AI that I hadn't really thought about before reading this stuff. And it's really worrying as well. I mean, from an incrimination point of view, I mean, can you imagine just creating a video with your face on it? And in the days that, I say this as a big Facebook user, I share a lot on Twitter, share a lot on Facebook, I share a lot on Instagram. Someone can just grab like 300 or 400 of your photos and put you in a porn movie and then tell, pay me a Bitcoin or I'll send this to your wife. And good luck proving it's not a real movie, because I've had a look at some of these videos and in some you can notice it, like mainly around these parts of the face, but some of them are already quite real.
Have you seen the one with Obama?
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned in politics, because they're using the real video, but was based on the AI deep learning machines algorithms. They're just changing the way the mouth reacts. So everything else in the video is real. That's the real footage, but just the movement of the mouth and the speech can be completely changed. So that's even more difficult to realize if that's real or not. So in the last year, we saw all of this, all of these problems around politics and elections
and fake news
and accounts, Twitter bots, and now we get to a point where we can fake speeches, and how are you going to realize, did he really say this? Is this video real, or is it generated by someone? I think
if it's true, or even if it's false.
And that will have a big impact on politics, finance, a completely different scale than a private person because of a porn video.
I see a good opportunity for all of those Photoshop designers and Photoshop experts to be called in court to authenticate a video or a photo, right? To say, well, no, this is Photoshop or AI or something, and actually that one is real. But it's going to be a tough one in the future. All you need is a bunch of GPUs, an algorithm, and you can create something new that actually doesn't exist at all.
And this is actually what I found quite funny. The guy that's doing the porn movies with the faces of famous actresses and actors is actually doing it at home. He's just one guy with some 2 or 3 GPUs at home, and then he posts it on Reddit. They have a dedicated subreddit for this. And that's the thing. It's not like it has a high cost. You're talking like $1,000 and you can generate as many movies as you want.
Yeah, it's not an expensive knowledge nowadays.
It's not. No, he says that right now, like doing a movie end to end between like getting the photos, submitting them, getting them ready, passing by the model, training the model, creating the final movie, it takes him like a day. That's it's a bit scary, right?
Yeah, it's not that knowledge that 10 years ago now only big companies could do. I remember, for example, IKEA, when they started doing the 3D rendering for their catalogs.
Mhm.
Most pictures on the IKEA catalog nowadays, they look real, but they're
They don't.
CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
When they started doing this, there was a big cost to it. They had to build their own GPU farms in their headquarters. They used the entire infrastructure in their office, all the desktops they had in the IKEA office. They were using it to render these pictures. But nowadays, one of the articles maybe from 1 year ago from one of the IKEA guys, he said 3 or 4 GPUs, and that's it. That's more than enough that he needs to generate one of the pictures.
Exactly.
The cost has come down tremendously, and with the latest algorithms from TensorFlow, for example, it gets easier and easier to just do this. And the papers are public. Anyone can do it.
And you don't even really need to know the algorithms. This guy that I'm specifically mentioning, he just made all of his code open source
Exactly.
to generate the movies because he wants more people to kind of join his subreddit and starting to submit more stuff. So he made his entire tooling to do this open source with instructions on how to build these movies yourself.
Well, for example, using OpenCV, you can do a face recognition software just with half an hour. Because that's the time that you need to install it.
Exactly. So next up on our list is talking about Microsoft unveils pre-orders for the beautiful $319 Cortana powered thermostat. IoT stuff. But before we go into this topic, did you guys see what happened at CES this week?
Yeah, they need more UPS and power surge.
Awesome,
Yeah.
right? A full blackout of the entire event. At a technology event. That's like, seriously, what were they thinking? How did they not do testing around this?
Well, okay, the technology event, power went down. Okay, power can go down. I think it's a bit awkward, but it's not ironic. Like, not as the cryptocurrency event in Miami that's going to take place now. They stopped. It's a Bitcoin conference. They stopped. They don't allow payments with Bitcoin because it takes too long to process.
No, they used to allow. They used to allow it. They stopped it.
Okay, they stopped it.
They used to allow
Yeah,
it.
they stopped it because it's too expensive and it takes too long. Like, that's a bit ironic for a
the high fees.
Bitcoin event.
It is, but from the event, from the SaaS event, I think it was a mix between weather conditions and all the water that was around the event. I believe that created the power surge and actually the power cut to the entire event, which is rather fun. So I think that next year people should pay more attention to batteries and Tesla.
And claim the funds back. Like the people that got the tickets this year, get your ticket for next year for free. Seriously.
It is really good.
How much does the ticket cost?
I have no clue. One fun thing I also read and saw the video from CES was what happened with the LG robot. Did you see that, Peter?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's funny.
There was a real-time demo, and the robot failed on stage. Like, the LG guy went, is my laundry ready? And the robot just stopped responding mid-demo. And the guy just goes, well, I guess robots also have a bad day.
Yeah, this robot doesn't like me. That was the equivalent of LG's robot would be equivalent of Cortana or Alexa. So it's their version of a friendly robot to help around the house.
Well, I had a look at the Sophia robot. That's kind of scary.
Yes. The Saudi Arabian citizen, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the best description was that's a puppet with a nice face on it.
It's really awkward, the whole thing, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna like that. I still prefer the AI videos rather than the robot.
Yeah, like having AI with a physical body right now still is a bit confusing for me. I agree. mainly when I know that easily a robot can be, stronger than me. So that can be quite scary. Like if some piece of the code fails,
like the Boston
Boston Dynamics.
Boston Dynamic robots.
Boston Dynamics,
Those
right?
are really
The
scary
dogs,
robots. Have you seen the one that does
The-
the backflip and actually?
the backflip from the box.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
And
It is really amazing, but really scary.
Yeah, there's another video that one of the guys at Boston Dynamics actually kicks what it's supposed to be a dog or something with 4 legs.
Yeah.
And it gets that kind of feedback from well, it stays put, it doesn't move. And all I think is, don't hit the robot, please. Don't do that.
He's gonna be the first one to go in.
Yeah, exactly. They have a long memory.
Yep. All right. Going back to our news. So apparently, who is it?
Microsoft.
Johnson is launching a thermostat that's controlled with Cortana. What do you guys think about this stuff?
Well, I think it's going to be really amazing because next time you're going to get home and you not have your home heated, you need to go back and go in again just to reboot the whole system, or you're just gonna scream at the thermostat because it's going to be powered by Cortana, which is going to be really amazing. I can see a lot.
But
of
isn't there
symptoms.
like a Cortana Alexa connection right now or something like that?
There is well, they announced last year that Microsoft will have through Cortana a connection to Alexa, but I think it's delayed by a couple of months, so it's not ready yet. Overall, I think it's good. I think it's a good option because you have a lot of Windows PCs and devices that actually need to have access at to a e-commerce website, and Alexa provides that backend platform back to Cortana. So it's going to be interesting to see how the future will play along. We saw a lot of Alexa things back at the CES event this year as well, like connected cars, things from Garmin, a lot of the devices, headphones, speakers that had Alexa built in. So I'm seeing that as the major platform. And to be honest, either Microsoft will cut Cortana and just adopt the other platform, or they're just going to extend and embrace and create this kind of bridge, and it's going to work for a lot of different things. But
it would be great if Apple dropped Siri as well. I would love to have Alexa on my phone,
yeah,
like instead of Siri, because it's shit.
yeah, that I don't know. But returning to the news itself, so it's a thermostat with Cortana. It's expensive. It's pretty much everything with IoT and smart and voice powered. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy that. Mostly because it's Microsoft based, so it's gonna have a problem. And I'm not sure if you're gonna have an update in the future for the CPU bug. It's gonna have something like that.
Yeah, it's because you're supposed to only get newly designed CPUs from Intel in 3 years without these types of bugs. So it's a long time to make a decision on whether or not to buy new devices and things like that.
Yeah.
Technology moves fast.
Yeah, but even so, the Nest thermostat almost costs, well, it's 200 something pounds, so it is around $300.
It's the same price. Yeah, same price.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a voice assistant. Well, you have the app, which has the temperature.
Can't you do Android phone control Nest? You should be able
with
to, right?
Google Home you can control it, but I also think via Siri and Alexa you can control Nest. So
Okay, so not too bad.
Nest is a bit of like a bridge. It doesn't depend on that one.
The next topic is an interesting one. So ICOs, back to our old conversation about cryptocurrencies and ICOs. So Telegram is thinking about doing an ICO. And I also believe Facebook announced that as this week as well, right? They want to create a coin. They don't want to do an ICO, but they want to create a coin, right?
Based on Mark Zuckerberg's speech, that's where they want to go to. They implied that they want to invest in cryptocurrencies. They want to give more freedom to the users, but it didn't really announce if they're going to create one or if they're going to use one that already exists. So they just implied that we are going to have cryptocurrencies in Facebook Messenger. But that was about it, at least from my perspective, unless I missed something.
Here's the thing I don't get, right? So according to Telegram, they want to be able to create a payment system inside Telegram. Why do they need to do an ICO for this?
Yeah, because you can do payments in WeChat, for example, in China. And they don't have ICOs.
They've had it for years, right? Yeah. So why do an ICO? Is it just, ride the wave scam of ICOs, or why are they doing this?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ICO fever, and it's just people think, oh yeah, it was blockchain or Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency, I can pay you. Yeah, Apple, I can pay you via Apple Messenger. It's fully transparent. I don't have to worry about, okay, I know I need to buy a coin, and then I can send you that coin, and then once you receive that coin, then you have to convert it to another payment. Users, people won't want to do that. People will just want, like, here's $20, there you go. Have fun, buy something with it. So, I don't get this.
Well, I think that
exactly.
At the end we haven't learned anything from the Madoff pyramid
schemes?
Yeah. So for me, ICOs are pretty much at that kind of level, either with a company that actually has some kind of branding or any other startup. I don't. Well, I see a value for that, but I don't see a real value for getting into.
You see a value for the user or for the company?
For the company. For the user, it's going to be a huge risk to invest in something that actually you don't see any kind of return. Just see a promise. It's pretty much like the bond market, right? The stock market. But the thing is, at the end you get the paper, you get something in return. With here, you just get a promise that's going to value something.
You get some guarantees, right? Because you can't just go like buy a stock and then not get the stock, because here you get no guarantees. Yeah. You can give money to the ICO, the guys disappear from one day to the other, you lost your money, that's it.
Yeah.
Which happened with the guy that did the porno ICO.
Yeah,
he disappeared with all the money. Exactly. So, and looking at the article about Telegram, they're looking to raise as much as 500 million in the pre-ICO sale.
Why?
With a token value in the range of 3 to 5 billion.
I don't understand.
Jesus.
One of the things that they mentioned here, and this is one of the reasons people talk about cryptocurrencies, is because it's good for micropayments and low fees. Okay, for example, Litecoin, the fee is going to drop now to less than 2 cents transaction fee. Okay, that's interesting. But even so, like, okay, Visa and MasterCard, if they wanted, they can drop the fees if they want to. And if people start going this way of using cryptocurrencies because of low fees, Visa will just go lower on the fees. That's what they all do. And because it's easier to just use it. They are the payment provider of the world. People might not like it, but that's the reality. Wherever you go, Visa works, and that's what people want. They want something that works. Most people don't care about the anonymity or the whatever people say that you can do with ICOs, but there's a lot of stuff that Visa and MasterCard provide that these cryptocurrencies don't provide. For example, the insurance, the protections of the payments of the user, of the business, and it will take some time until these cryptocurrencies provide these safety nets that will make people safe using them.
Well, for me, I'm all in for full financial transparency, period.
Yeah.
So, and for me, the cryptocurrencies are a good kind of escape for the black market, for things that you actually want to do and you don't want anyone to hear or see that actually you do, like money laundering, drugs, and that kind of stuff. So if you're on that market, perfect. If you're just trying to invest your money, I would probably go with my father's advice, which is invest in land, and real land, right? In property, because they don't make that anymore.
Yeah, and I find it funny in this article because they then mention those figures would make it possibly the biggest private crypto raise to date after Tezos, which raised over 230 millions in July. Have you guys heard about Tezos?
Nope.
Have you guys heard about the clusterfuck that is Tezos?
Nope.
So here's the thing, right? So there's this couple, I can't remember their name now, that say they created the idea behind Tezos, right? Tezos is a hardware wallet. And there are these Swiss guys which created the Tezos Foundation, which received the money. These are now actually like suing each other. They're in an active case where they're suing each other for the IP and all of that. And the guys that supposedly the couple that says that created Tezos are accusing the Tezos Foundation of not releasing the funds for them to be able to develop Tezos. And Tezos, the ICO that raised the most money until today, is this clusterfuck of, people trying to sue each other. Which supposedly should be the showcase for ICOs.
Well,
but...
Yeah. Well, and there's another thing about cryptocurrencies.
Cryptocurrencies. I'm gonna start using that word now.
Cryptocurrency?
Yeah,
Cryptocurrencies.
there's another thing. If you just heard on the news, China is trying to cracking up on the miners, on the cryptocurrency miners, because China, there's a lot of companies mining stuff there, but actually that's because of the low cost of electricity. So and now they see that as a problem, and they try to crack down the market, and probably that's why Bitcoin and the other coins just went down after China and what was it, Japan, something like that? No,
Korea. There was there was something in Korea regarding Ripple, the crypto coin that's being used by banks.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a huge impact in the market.
But on good news, Kodak, they're back, and they have the cryptocurrency. They're going to have an ICO,
oh, yes.
and their shares went up.
I know, and they're selling those ASIC miner machines.
Yeah,
miners.
Yeah,
right.
And they have an ICO because you can pay
cryptocurrency for photographers.
Exactly. So you can pay rights to use your picture, and the rights are set on the blockchain. And they will create a platform that will scan the internet to find if that picture is being used properly or not.
Amazing. Let's do something. Let's do a cryptocurrency and ICO for phone-generated AI videos. let's use all the bullshit available out there and do something.
I see. I've got a second gig now where I'm dealing a lot with startups that are in the cryptocurrency market, that are planning ICOs, things like that. And it's funny because now I hear them talk and present, and many times I'm just thinking, right, so why are you using blockchain? What's the difference between you having that data on the blockchain versus just having a MySQL server with append only? And many times, they don't really know how to answer that. And that for me is kind of a big marker on whether or not to keep working with them.
Yeah. Because most of the companies, 99% of them, they just need a ledger. And a ledger is a well-known concept. It's been used by the industry for years. And 99%, that's more than enough.
Yeah, but the Kodak example is it's the perfect example. Like just getting 130% raise on their shares just from that announcement.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that cryptocurrencies aren't a bubble. There's
a bit of proof. At least Kodak announced something regarding blockchain and the cryptocurrency. Before Christmas, there was a company in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, a juice company.
Juice or tea?
I think it was juice, like natural juice, whatever. Yeah. They changed they're in the stock market, and they changed their name to, so they were like Juice Life, and I don't know what their real name is. So an example, Juice Life, and they changed it to Juice Blockchain. Their shares went up 30% just because of the name blockchain on the.
Amazing.
Yeah, no one knew that. Blockchain, and the shares went up. There you go.
I'm telling you, GoingDigital blockchain.
No. So our last topic is one that, in my opinion, is much better, much better, and a lot more fun as well. Age of Empires, the history of the games of Age of Empires. An article that came out in Ars Technica about the history of Age of Empires. Victor, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you were a big Age of Empires kid, right?
I was. A few years ago, this was one of my games that I played a lot, along with what is it called? Championship Manager. Now it's called Football Manager.
You're still a Football Manager guy these days, right?
I am, yeah. I try to play at least 1 or twice per year the Football Manager, but with the cheats and stuff like that, and teams with a lot of money, just because I don't have the time play properly the game. But yeah, so there are the two games of that I played a few years ago, and this article is quite interesting because it details all the story about Age of Empires and how did it started, how did it get to where we are at the moment. So it's really interesting to have this kind of vision, which then brought me to the games from the old times. And then there's a podcast about all the games in abandonware, which is quite amazing. And I just asked them those guys to review Goblins, which was one of the games.
Goblins, I remember that.
Yeah, dude, that was a really hard one to play with. And this brings me a lot of memories. First of all, it was one of the times that back in Portugal, the only serious game magazine that we had then was Joystick, which was a French magazine, and it had pages and pages of solutions for the games, right? So if you're just stuck at a level, they each month will launch kind of help for you to follow that kind of level, that kind of path for the game. And I learned a lot of French that way. So it was me with the dictionary and try to learn, so turn left, turn right, do this, do that, and it was really, really good. And this brings me a lot of good memories. And then yeah. Maybe you can. What kind of games do you play at the moment?
So, well, let me just go back a little bit because hearing you this story, when you mentioned that you learned French, thanks to that, it's funny because I had the same experience. So I remember being like 8-9 years old and wanting to play Ultima Online, but I only spoke Portuguese, right? Because you only start getting English lessons a bit later. And I learned English at 100% because of Ultima Online, because I wanted to go online and everyone that was playing the game only spoke English. There was a small group of Portuguese that got together, sure, but when we had to interact with the rest of the people, it was an online game and it was English only. So it absolutely boosted my English. I have zero doubts that, I can say to my kids that I learned English because of school. It was not because of school. It was because of Ultima Online.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit like on that side because English was kind of my mother language. So for me, playing English games was just like a continuation.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that problem. And yes, the only magazine you had was a French one.
It was the only that we had in Portugal was Joystick.
And then we later had PC Gamer, right?
PC Gamer. That was the magazine I used to read.
Yeah.
Because the PlayStation came out, so I don't know that. But
and those CDs with the demos, CDs with the demos that just made your computer super slow. Some really dodgy Brazilian software that you'd install, and Kazaa, and Napster, and LimeWire. Oh man, good times.
Well, if you like demos, go back to the 80s and 90s and go see the guys from Finland called Future Crew. Mm-hmm. The guys are really amazing. They have a demo for Unreal that they launched on Assembly 93, something 92. Which is really amazing. And that time, it was like having meltdown and Spectre at the same time on your CPU, right? You just had to play that demo, it would crack the shit out of your computer. It was really slow just to do some lousy editing, right?
But the fun thing is, actually the demo community still goes on today. So, okay, it's much smaller than before, but it's so interesting to see what people can do just with like 10, 20, 30 kilobytes. The graphics, the sound, what they can do with it. So it's also that's going on nowadays with amazing results. But going then to Age of Empires, it's cool that I remember playing the original Age of Empires 1 and Age of Empires 2, and Microsoft releasing the new version 2 years ago, Age of Empires HD. So kind of the revamped, new graphics, but kind of the same model. And I really enjoyed it. They didn't destroy the game. Okay, some things changed, but it was still the same game. And comparing that to another game I used to play at the time, it was one of my favorite games. Well, not DOS, but more like Windows based. It was Dungeon Keeper. So same philosophy. You have to control characters to destroy the layer of another Dungeon Keeper. But EA, they decided 1 year ago to release, or 2 years ago also release a new version of Dungeon Keeper. Yeah. They killed it.
They completely fucked it up.
It was so bad because they basically decided to let's go microtransactions. So, if you want to do this, it's going to take you like 5 hours. Like, what? The original game takes 30 seconds. What do you mean this takes 5 hours now? Oh yeah, but if you pay, this can be done instantly. What the hell is this? This is not Dungeon Keeper. It's the same branding, the name of the character is the same, but the gameplay, they completely destroyed it.
But that's the problem with the games these days. That's the problem with every single game these days. It's microtransactions, and then I answer Victor's question. Which games do I play today? Rocket League, which I bought once, and I don't have to pay anything else. You can pay for loot boxes, but it's cosmetics only. As in, you make your car prettier, you make your car shine. It doesn't make your car faster, it doesn't make it turn better. It's literally just cosmetics. And the second game I play, it's called PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battleground, which is the exact same model. I paid once for the game, and then you can buy loot boxes that make your character have different jackets, different hats, different glasses, but doesn't give you a pay-to-win advantage.
Yeah.
And that's the type of games that I will keep playing. I bought Destiny 2, and they fucked it up with the DLCs and having to pay for extra stuff. And it's a shame because it was a fun game. EA fucked up the new Star Wars game with microtransactions. And I don't like the system of microtransactions that boosts the people that buy those microtransactions. I'm already paying for the game. I should be able to play it like at the same level as everyone else.
Yeah, agree.
Else, make it a pay-per-month subscription, the model of EVE Online, where the players that pay the monthly subscription do get a boost, but you didn't buy the game itself. It's a subscription system, the same way you do with World of Warcraft, where you buy the expansion and then you pay the monthly fee, but you also don't get a boost compared to other players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The microtransaction systems is completely fucking up games, but there is actually a good thing. In Belgium, they've now banned the concept of loot boxes. There can't be any more loot boxes. They try to spread this concept to the entire Europe, which is good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, yeah. I still want offline games, first of all.
Yeah.
And strategy. But the other thing is that I got an Xbox one year and 3 months ago. It came with my Surface. It came with one game, FIFA 2017, I believe. I played it twice. I got two controllers, and the last time I played, I remember talking to someone like Marco and saying, well, I can't play this shit. It's really tough to score a goal. And this guy in half a minute, even less, just saying, well, I just score one, so I don't see any kind of problem with the game or with the controllers, so it's up to you, man. And it stays there. It's a good white box below the TV. Probably it's going to be a media station someday.
I have the same problem. So I bought the PlayStation 4. I've bought the Wii. I've bought the Wii U. I've got Nintendo DS, DS XL. I like buying consoles. The funny thing is, I play with them for a day, two, maybe a month, and then it stops. The only console in modern times that I've played regularly, Nintendo Switch. Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, I still play them regularly. And it has been quite a long time since I've played regularly on the console. And also a fun thing, Vitor, you just mentioned single player games. When I want to play a single player game now, and it's rare because, I don't have a lot of time, but when I do, I'm playing multiplayers. But sometimes I do get some time, for example, when I'm on a flight or something like that, where I do want to play single player. I find myself playing things like Baldur's Gate 2, which is from 95, and some guys did an enhanced edition where they updated the game with the graphics. They didn't touch the game, they just updated the graphics for the modern age area. So I'm finding myself playing Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, Grim Fandango, games that are super old.
Yeah.
And Grim Fandango is awesome because you get it actually on iOS. I don't even need to have the computer on me.
That's a good one.
It's great, right? But it's the old games. There is a problem in game development. There is a problem with gaming companies, and they need to fix it. They can't keep depending on WoW to be the stellar of gameplay for the rest of their life.
You have Witcher 3. It's already been released 3 or 4 years ago, and it's still considered one of the best games ever. But it's
Skyrim.
But for example, on my phone, I only have one game, and that's Monument Valley 2. Because I like the simplicity. I can play it whenever I want to, just like some puzzles, and that's it. And it's a really basic game. And going back into the consoles, yeah, I have a PS4 at home. That's my gaming station. I don't play on the PCs because I have a Mac, and I don't have a workstation at home. So
You should get a proper computer, Marco.
well, I can play like Age of Empires or Dungeon Keeper. There are patches to run it on Mac natively. This team does have already some games for Mac, but it's just not my thing gaming there. So the PlayStation, it's my media center. I watch all my movies from Netflix to Amazon Prime, Spotify, and the games they have there from Gran Turismo and also to the classics that just released now like Wipeout, Crash Bandicoot. So it's good, like I mentioned, going back to all these simple games, you just want to play and go. You don't have to worry about all this stuff around it.
Actually, Xbox has a functionality that if you go to I think it's the Gold subscription, you get the old games into the system, so you can play Xbox, I don't know, one or whatever version that you had of Xbox 360 or something like that. On the modern consoles, so it's really amazing because they are building the whole platform and they are doing this compatibility against the old games. So it's really good to see that. But at the end, for me, my election for a game is it needs to be Football Manager because that's really good.
So now going full circle on our episode, so we can finish this.
All right. Oh yes.
Xbox.
Absolutely.
Console. That has an Intel processor inside.
Apparently, yeah.
Is Meltdown or Spectre going to affect it anyway?
I think so. Either I saw some news about that. Either they're going to launch a patch or they're going to do something with the Xbox.
Yes, but it's different in a console, right? With a 30% slowdown, and you can't just go and replace the CPU as you would in a computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the question. Like, how is that going to affect consoles? That's a question I'm leaving out. Yeah.
Oh well, let's.
Interesting. Should be interesting.
Well, you don't play with it, so
I don't. So it's
at the same time, it also makes me wonder something else, which is, could you use Meltdown to dump the private keys for encryption and create homebrew and jailbreak the consoles with that?
well, that's how the guy attacked the PS4. Don't you remember the lost kernel dump from PS4? So one guy he wants to reverse engineer the PS4 and he started doing kernel panics on the PS4, and he noticed that there were pieces of code coming on the kernel panic. What was it? Pieces of code? Pieces of the kernel code, source code. So what he did, start running non-stop kernel panics on the PS4. So he dumped the entire kernel out of the PS4 just running kernel panics.
Oh, amazing.
So from memory, like 20 bytes each time, and he got the entire thing.
That's really good.
Nice.
Well, let's see about that in the future.
So, as we mentioned in the beginning, if you're a cool startup, come talk to us. Come tell us what you're doing, what you're building for the future, and here are our comments on it. They sometimes might be friendly, sometimes they might be critiques, but I think it will help you long term. And if you have some interesting topics you'd like to talk about as a guest, we're always looking for extra guests on our episodes. Guys, anything you want to say to our listeners?
We are friendly.
We are friendly. Yes, we don't.
Vitor, don't you want to pitch something?
I do. Well, thank you.
Don't you?
Well, I don't know. So, me and Marco.
Look, we have a small listener base, so it's good for beta testing, right?
It is exactly. So, I think that we're gonna have some news between what we're doing with you and what me and Marco are doing, and with other people. We do a lot of video blogging and podcasts and stuff like that. Me and Marco we started a podcast called Startup Out of the Box, and we just launched a new thing on Alexa, which is Tech Coffee, which is your daily news of tech by me, Marco Basilio, and you, Thiago. You're gonna feature one of these in the near future.
We have to fix the audio of the first episode.
We do. But it's an experiment. It's just a testing, just to see how the whole thing goes.
I'll make sure the links are on the description of the video. In the meantime, Alexa, what's my flash briefing?
Here's your flash briefing from Tech Coffee.
Hello, this is Tech Coffee.
And I'll leave you guys to listen to that.
Cheers.
That's it.